I know you guys talked about it. It was the big story that as soon as I woke up, I saw the headline, upcoming Rey Star Wars movie delayed indefinitely.
I don't believe what I'm hearing.
And I said then, even when I read the article, that we've seen a lot of different rumors and reports and speculation surrounding this movie that have all been like completely different, like not backing each other up, but like completely different. So I said, don't be surprised if in a couple hours from now you see something completely contrary to this. And sure enough, that's what we saw. Star Wars conflicting reports emerge about whether Daisy Ridley's Rey movie has been delayed indefinitely. And it came from a couple different places. One was from Jermaine Lucier on IO9. No, Rey's Star Wars movie hasn't been delayed. According to their sources, Stephen DeKnight just got his script back. He's working on the new draft of the script after some notes and is about to turn it back into Lucasfilm. We also heard from Daniel RPK, which, again, take that however you will. Some of his stuff pans out, some of it doesn't. He actually said that, in fact, no, it's not delayed, and they're planning to start shooting it in May or June. The reality is, as we've talked about numerous times, Lucasfilm is a complete chaotic mess. I'm not even sure if the people internally at Lucasfilm know what's going on half of the time. Would it be a great idea for them to cancel this? Probably would be, because nobody's asking for it. Nobody wants it. They're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on something that's going to be a complete and total dumpster fire. But I will also say this, when you start to see these things come out, it's weird, isn't it? How we didn't really have too many of these scoopers talking about it until Sharmeen Obaid's comments went viral, until it started to become a very clickable thing, until it started becoming in the algorithm. Then all of a sudden, everybody's source somehow has just spoken to them. Liar! We have seen time after time over the past couple of years, a lot of Star Wars scoopers, run with things that aren't exactly true. Who's right in this situation? That's tough to tell.
Well, I mean, ultimately, I have the belief, and I've talked about this for years, when stories like this are out there, and I've heard, like a lot of people criticize for running with stories that aren't verifiable, things like that. The studios put stuff out like this all the time for fillers to kind of test to see how the response is going to be. That's just common sense if you know how anything works in the world. So things like this leak from all perspectives sometimes because they want to kind of get a sense of what would the reaction be if X, Y, or Z happened. Can we get this is why you have polling data in politics. Polling data is only a small sample size. It's not like you're polling literally every person. You're polling a small sample size to kind of get an understanding of what the climate is, what's the temperature in the room. The studios leak shit like this all the time to small unknown sources. And then they try to see okay, if this was to actually happen. So I firmly believe that that is more than likely something that's happening here, where a small unknown site that can't really be held accountable. It's not like the Hollywood Reporter is reporting it or something like that. Floats it out there. It gets picked up by a few other outlets. And then Disney has basically a lot of data to go, okay, if we were to cancel this dog shit Rey movie, what would be the response? No. That's what I think is happening. Now, with that said, I think the Rey movie is still going to move forward. Personally, I think the Rey movie moves forward. I don't think they're going to cancel this Rey movie at all.
I don't think so either. And, could there, again, like I said, when people were like, oh, we knew there was issues, there was a rumor that was out there that Stephen Knight had never turned in a script, that there had never been a script given to him. Well, that would fly. This report, which says that Lucasfilm gave him a lot of notes on his draft, would completely run contrary to that other rumor that just came out, which would run contrary to the other rumor that just came out. So we're having a lot of people from a lot of different places, whether it's stuff they're actually being told or whether they're running for it for clicks or not.
How can this be?
This is how Star Wars rumor mill has been for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, them bringing Daisy Ridley up there, the fact that she even the day before this happened was giving interviews talking about what the structure is for the movie and all those things. I think it's so embarrassing that even if it was the best case scenario, even if they knew they would lose hundreds of millions of dollars, they wouldn't fucking cancel it.
Do it.
Because just like we saw with Echo, right? With Kevin Feige wanted to cancel Echo, but they virtue signaled too hard about it. They talked about how important it was to have a Native American deaf, person with only one leg out there. And we're seeing the same thing with this. That's how they virtue signal over this movie. So I personally think that it will come to fruition, 2.5 years from now or whatever that is.
Yeah, and it will be a shit show, just like Captain Marvel or the Marvels, and pretty much everything. So again, we broke this down a lot, and again, it's just so fun to talk about Star Wars and Disney Star Wars. I can't, even though I don't even watch this shit anymore, I can't stop just roasting it. It's just way too fun, and they keep giving us so much good content that it's just glorious. I love it.
So. And with everything we've seen, with all the directors that have been fired, all the writers that have left the projects, like all these things that have happened, of course it sounds like that's exactly something that would be right up Disney Star Wars alley, to fire a set of writers, hire Stephen Knight, get this activist director, the big pomp and circumstance with the announcement at Celebration, and then only for 8 months later for them to part ways with a writer or whatever because of creative differences. Because we've seen it for the past decade of Disney Star Wars.
Yeah. And I love how defensive people like Jermaine Lussier get. No, Rey, Star Wars movie hasn't been delayed. It's so toxic of you to even imply that this is a possibility. They get so fucking defensive, man.
Now, interestingly enough, we're about to talk about a story later that Jermaine Lussier actually confirmed is accurate with the She-Hulk thing not happening, which is funny that he was involved in two of those stories. One, he's saying, yeah, not happening. And this one, he's saying, no, this hasn't been delayed.
Yeah.
So I did think that was interesting that he ended up in the mix of two of those things.
I mean, he's been around for a long time. I remember back when I used to watch the Collider bullshit and all that. And he was always a name that was referenced a lot. So he's been doing this a long time. He's been in the game for a long time. So, but I can't say I'm necessarily a fan. Ryan's hot stepsister says, hi, Step Bro.